When I say subtle wordplay, that is to say it's almost too subtle. Go subscribe.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to Brews and Reviews. Today I'm reviewing Fashawn and Sir Veterano's All Hail the King. Fashawn has been MIA for a while with no real releases since the Manna EP in 2017. For me, Fashawn was one of those rappers who I felt had a ton of potential when I first heard him. I loved his guest appearances. Among them, one of my favorites, his track that he did with Zion I and the Grouch called Plead the Fifth. Great track. And, of course, Boy Meets World was a near-perfect debut. It's one of those debut albums that you hear, kind of like when I heard Section 80, that I thought that this dude was really going places. His collab with Murs a couple years later called This Generation was also great and continued to fuel the fire for my hopes of this dude being a great MC, but I completely lost interest when he dropped the Ecology. It was a little too generic for me, and I had high hopes too because that was his debut album with Nas's Mass Appeal Records. It should have been good, but I don't know what happened. And don't get me wrong, the Ecology was good, but it just was not up to the previous standard that I'd heard from him. I also saw him at a concert, Kane's Ballroom in Tulsa, with Run the Jewels. He opened up for them. Good show around that same time that the Ecology dropped, but it wasn't enough to make me fully appreciate the album. The producer on this, Sir Veterano, does not have much material out there, although it looks like he's got a project called The Gathering, which has a stacked track list if you're an underground head. So I'm going to have to check that out next after checking for this. But let's get into this project. The Return. Fashawn acknowledges how long he's been gone with this title, and it also sets the stage for all of the royalty references throughout the album. Robe. Some nice horns also add to the royalty theme, and they're over a great bass line from Sir Veterano. And as Fashawn mentions Grizzly City here, the album cover and what it means actually comes together. Grizzly City, I didn't realize, is a nickname for Fresno, California, where Fashawn's from. And this song features the great Elzhi. Honestly, one of the reasons why I chose to review this and check for this album first before some of the other releases from this week. And Elzhi doesn't disappoint either with his patented sick flow and wordplay. He says, I can tell by you all jesters, you jesters, with funny money get paid a little to do the extras. Really, among the best verse on the entire project. Fashawn ain't outdone though. He comes in for the third verse, showing that he's kingly after stating that Mass Appeal's still family, so no hard feelings. Even though him and the label split, he says, back like I never ever left. May you all bow down in the presence of the F. All hail the king. All right. This beat's going for it. It sounded a little generic at first, but the bass guitar sounding bass line, chorus vocal sample hits, and organ chords make it probably the best beat on the project. And Fashawn's using his real name to emphasize the braggadocio lyrics when he says that boy Santiago was the illest. Crown Royal, nice bass line here too. It reminds me a bit of a Czarface instrumental. Shout out to 7L. And Fashawn references for sure one of the top 50 hip-hop songs of all time. And if you know what I'm talking about, put it in the comments right now before I tell everybody. This is one of the great songs when he says, let the bass ride out like an ancient mating call. He is referencing Black Star featuring Common, Respiration. If you have not heard that, please turn me off and go listen to that track right now. But this track, Crown Royal, in its own right is dope as hell, with the cuts on the chorus from the veteran DJ Revolution, who's sounding like DJ Premier cutting it up here, even as they slip in a Guru sample saying creeping on the low. And Fashawn has some good lyrics too. He says, of mice and men when fake thugs pretend, try to live by the gun, die by a slug in the end. Santiago Veterano, what a wonderful blend. And I'm gonna drink to this track. I am sipping on the Kaiser from Avery Brewing Company. This is an 8% Marzen Oktoberfest. The Kaiser is a king, y'all, so it's very fitting for this album. And with this 8%, it is a strong and powerful king for sure. All hail the king. I'm gonna do that right now. Salute. Hear ye, another Gangstar lyric here when he says, grab the rifle, leave you right where you stand. And he gets a little political too. He says, democracy won, tell Donald to scram. Kamala's my bitch, but Biden's not my man. We got a lot of beat switches, good soul beat for the second beat, and a lot of these beats are really good as it switches throughout the song. Probably 7, 8 beats on this in total, but I gotta say, I enjoy beat switches when it's just one switch per song, but I'm not a fan of this style where the beat changes consistently. Even when Elzhi did it, even when Nas did it, it just feels like they're trying to get rid of half-written songs and not putting in the effort to either finish them or scrap them. It ultimately just doesn't flow for me. Castle. This song sounds like what I didn't like about The Ecology. It's a love song about the queen of his castle, and his rhymes are fine, but I'm not digging the bass line or the chorus by Aloe Blacc. To Be King features a little advice to the youth from Fashawn, and I agree with a lot of the lessons. He says, now everybody want to be the ruler, want to wear the jewels, but don't want to pay the jeweler. Pay your dues, kids. Work for your shit. You aren't owed nothing. Work for it. That's what Fashawn's saying right here. Part of a Lion featuring Planet Asia, the underground king of consistency. He says, you could download any cheat code except the code of honor. I move like a shooter, but think like the Dalai Lama. He never disappoints on guest spots. Planet Asia, still one of the best. The Vet, nice No Limit and Tank reference from Fashawn on this as well. Fashawn comes through with a solid project here. It doesn't feel complete or cohesive, but his subtle wordplay and consistent flow holds it down and makes it an enjoyable listen. However, when I say subtle wordplay, that is to say it's almost too subtle and a little too much braggadocio involved. I would have liked to hear him grow more since it's been 5 years since we heard a proper project from him. And there's nothing wrong with what he's doing here, but I feel like a few little tweaks could take him to another level. Production-wise, there are several tracks where Veterano shines, but aside from those tracks like Crown Royal and All Hail the King, the other beats don't really stand out. And because Fashawn is being very subtle with what he does, the lyrics aren't enough to make you return to it either. The beats are a good backdrop to Fashawn's boasts, but I feel like this is just a good soundtrack as you're doing something else, not something that's going to retain your whole focus. Maybe this is just a taste, and I could see a follow-up project between these two actually being really great, actually being something that people would talk about from years to come. But this is not that project. As this stands, I'm going to give this a 7 out of a 12 pack. Thank you for watching my review of Fashawn's All Hail the King. If you like this, go ahead and hit like now and hit me up in the comments. If you didn't like it, also let me know why in the comments. I drop hip-hop and hops-related content consistently, so subscribe to my channel now. And until I see you next time, keep buzzing. Fucking man says subscribe.
But if he's on his channel saying that somebody's album is better than mine, unsubscribe to that motherfucker.
No, your album's the best, man.
There you go. Subscribe.
Yeah.
Subscribe.